The DP's candidate Lee Jae-myung toured Jeju and the southeastern Gyeongsangnam-do Province today, where he made tailored regional pledges. The PPP's candidate Kim Moon-soo stayed in the capital area, where he met doctors' groups amid the prolonged conflict over medical reform. North Korea fired several cruise missiles into the East Sea this morning, a day after the regime failed to launch a 5,000-ton destroyer, which Kim Jong-un called unforgivable. Israel has allowed some humanitarian aid into Gaza, where the humanitarian crisis is growing, but this has yet to reach those in need, while the Israeli military ramps up its ground operations. It's May 22nd, 8 p.m. in Seoul. This is Newscenter.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Yoon Jung-min. We're now counting down from 12 days to the presidential election. The main Liberal Party contender today toured Jeju and Gyeongsangnam-do Province. There, he addressed policies tailored for the regions. Our Shin Ha-young reports.
Democratic Party presidential candidate Lee Jae-myung wrapped up his Thursday campaign in the city of Yangsan in Gyeongsangnam-do Province, which the DP describes as a city with strong potential to become a global logistics hub thanks to its location and ability to adapt to changing international conditions. During his speech, he emphasized balanced regional growth. Now, this is Lee Jae-myung's second visit to Gyeongsangnam-do Province during the official campaign period, and it's been seen as an effort to secure more votes in the region compared to the last presidential election when he lost to former President Yoon with about 37% of the vote. Before coming to Yangsan, he held a rally on Jeju Island, where he highlighted the importance of wind power and said Jeju should take the lead in renewable energy.
Before long, Jeju Island will become a truly eco-friendly place, powered entirely by clean energy with no reliance on fossil fuels. It's on track to become a leading region and model city for renewable energy in Korea, and we must make that happen.
He also addressed the April 3rd incident where around 30,000 civilian protesters were killed in what the authorities at the time characterized as an anti-communist crackdown. He said that he visits Jeju every year for the April 3rd memorial and hopes to come back next year as president. With Lee's visit to Gyeongsangnam-do Province, attention is now on whether he will meet former President Moon Jae-in during the trip. This comes as Lee is scheduled to visit Ponghwa village in the city of Gimhae on Friday, where a memorial service will be held to mark the 60th anniversary of former President Roh Moo-hyun's death. The visit is seen as a way to emphasize the party's legacy and rally core supporters. There's a chance Lee and Moon could meet as they did last year when Lee joined Moon and former First Lady Kwon Yang-suk for lunch after the ceremony. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News, Yangsan.
The main Conservative Party contender stayed in the capital area, where he met with different organizations, including doctors' associations, amid the prolonged conflict over medical reform. Earlier in the day, he called for political reform, aiming to reduce the number of lawmakers, among others. Our Kim Do-yeon reports.
Yet another apology from the People Power Party for the actions of the former administration. On Thursday, presidential candidate Kim Moon-soo met with leaders of the medical community, issuing a public apology for the Yoon Suk-yeol administration's handling of the medical reform despite collective pushback from doctors.
As a responsible cabinet member of the government myself, I sincerely offer an apology. The fact that it's not just one or two doctors, but nearly all of them raising this issue, clearly indicates there is a problem.
Kim clarified that he wasn't taking sides, but emphasized the need for the government to listen to professionals in the field. According to the Doctors Association, Kim pledged to resolve the ongoing medical crisis within the first 6 months of his term. He spent a day meeting with various civil society groups. At a roundtable with the heads of Korea's 5 major business organizations, Kim highlighted his pro-industry record as former Gyeonggi-do Province governor. This was also his fourth day in the capital region, meeting organizations and rallying for support. And one of his rallies here was Bucheon City's Hosagu district, his old congressional district, where he served 3 terms until around 20 years ago. This also comes as the capital region is always a key battleground where he needs to expand his support to turn things around before the election day. Meanwhile, Kim also made a surprise morning announcement calling for sweeping political reform.
Will we achieve a second wave of democratization or head toward an authoritarian presidential system? I'm deeply concerned.
His remarks were seen as a warning against a potential power monopoly should Democratic Party frontrunner Lee Jae-myung win, adding to the DP's existing parliamentary majority. Kim's reform pledges include cutting the number of lawmakers from 300 to 270, granting the opposition power to appoint an independent inspector general, raising the threshold for impeachment motions, and shielding the judiciary and investigative bodies from political pressure. His message lands as a DP filed around 30 impeachment motions during Yoon's term, only one of which, against former President Yoon, passed. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Reform Party candidate Lee Jun-seok has firmly rejected a merger with the main Conservative Party candidate, saying it'll be his own name and party on the voting ballots. On Thursday, Lee held an emergency press conference with regard to the People Power Party's so-called love calls to the young candidate, urging him to join hands with Kim Moon-soo to form a stronger conservative ticket. Lee said that his support in national polls hit 10% for the first time and dismissed the idea of a merger as meaningless. He'd announced earlier in the day that he had blocked incoming phone calls for the time being. On his campaign trail, Lee continued to target young voters and centrists in the greater Seoul area. He held a discussion with Cho Won-yul, former captain of the Cheonan warship, which was torpedoed by North Korea in 2010. He also continued his campus cafeteria outreach, meeting with students at Inha University. Last week, we covered economic visions the candidates have for the next 5 years when it comes to future growth and trade policies. In this week's focus, we shed light on those related to labor reform and housing, shared by the 3 main contenders. Our economics correspondent Lee Soo-jin has the details.
South Korea's presidential election is just around the corner, and each candidate's economic pledges are drawing increased attention from voters. This week, we look closer at candidates' labor reform and housing pledges. The candidates are aiming to improve labor conditions to win the votes of the many who wish for a better work-life balance. To do so, the 2 frontrunners have proposed a 4.5-day work week. The current standard work week is 5 days, with most full-time workers logging 40 hours from Monday to Friday, with a legal maximum of 52 hours per week. The 5-day work week was introduced with a 2003 revision to the Labor Standards Act and was fully implemented nationwide by 2011. And now attention is on whether a 4.5 work week will become a reality this year. So what does each candidate's 4.5 work week look like? Democratic Party candidate Lee Jae-myung has proposed reducing the standard work week from 40 to 36 hours, cutting Friday afternoons without reducing wages. His proposal also includes incentives for companies to adopt the new schedule and has a long-term goal of eventually transitioning to a 4-day work week.
South Korea's total working hours are too long, about 200 hours more than the OECD average. Longer hours no longer mean higher productivity. Efficiency and creativity are now key.
People Power Party candidate Kim Moon-soo has proposed a 4.5 work week that maintains the current 40-hour work week by distributing working hours across the week. Under this plan, employees work an extra hour from Monday to Thursday and finish earlier on a Friday, creating a shorter workday without cutting total working hours. He has also said that he supports granting exemptions to the 52-hour work week limit for the semiconductor sector.
I will replace the rigid working hours system with a more flexible one, cut corporate and inheritance taxes significantly, and drastically reform regulations to help businesses thrive.
Reform Party candidate Jun-seok has strongly criticized a 4.5-day workweek proposal that reduces working hours without cutting wages, calling it unrealistic. He has instead pledged labor reforms that include giving local governments the authority to adjust the minimum wage to revitalize regional economies. And housing is a key issue that all three candidates, as the country's residence crisis has fueled voter concern and also contributed to the country's low birth rate. While they all aim to increase supply, their approaches differ, and here's how. The key theme of Lee Jae-myung's housing proposal is New Town. South Korea's first New Town project from the late 1980s, which includes Bundang and Ilsan, now faces aging infrastructure that he plans to rebuild. He also pledges to cut red tape for Seoul's downtown development and to develop a fourth-generation New Town with more quality public housing. The key theme of Kim's proposal is youth. Kim's 333 Youth Housing Supply Plan offers support for up to 9 years, 3 years after marriage and 3 years each after the first and second child. His proposal also includes supplying 200,000 homes to young adults, newlyweds and families, and more housing for single-person households. The key theme of Lee Jun-seok's proposal is life stages. He plans to increase the supply of 59-meter-square homes by promoting the development and building of small unit housing. He pledged to promote high-density urban development and also to citing strong housing demand and proposed housing tax cuts tailored to newlyweds seeking smaller homes, growing families needing more space, and seniors looking to downsize. Though each candidate's vision differs, the emphasis on their economic pledges highlights a critical role the economy plays in this election.
Morgan Stanley has raised South Korea's growth forecast for this year to 1.1%. That is a 0.1 percentage point increase from its previous forecast in April. A report released on Thursday explained that the upward adjustment was made in response to the recent gradual de-escalation of tariff tensions between the U.S. and China and the U.S. announcement of a 90-day reciprocal tariff suspension. The report also anticipates that fiscal policy will emerge as a new growth driver after the snap presidential election next month, predicting a second supplementary budget in the second half of this year. North Korea fired several cruise missiles into the East Sea this morning. This follows the regime failing to launch a new warship the previous day, sparking a rebuke from its leader Kim Jong-un. Our correspondent Kim Jong-sil explains.
South Korea's military confirmed the launch of several unidentified cruise missiles from North Korea on Thursday. The Joint Chiefs of Staff said the missiles were detected at around 9 a.m. from the Sondok area in Gyeongsangnam-do Province on North Korea's east coast. The missile launches came a day after North Korea failed to launch a new 5,000-ton destroyer at the Cheongjin shipyard. State media reported that Kim Jong-un was present during the incident, calling it unforgivable and a blow to the regime's dignity. According to the Rodong-sinmun, the rear sled carrying the destroyer detached prematurely, causing the ship to tilt and preventing the front from releasing, disrupting the launch balance. While North Korea did not specify the extent of the damage, the South Korean military said this.
Given the size and scale, it is expected to be similar to the Traeon vessel, and the ship is currently lying on its side in the sea.
Some analysts believe the missile test could be a response to the negative fallout from the failed naval launch. However, others argue that the launches were likely part of North Korea's routine military exercises, as South Korea had already been tracking signs of missile activity.
While the missile launch may help counter the negative image from the ship failure, it could be part of a broader strategy focused on military training, international negotiations, and military cooperation with Russia.
Analysts believe North Korea's ongoing military demonstrations, including the missile tests and destroyer construction, may be part of the regime's broader strategy to showcase its military power. Kim Jong-sil, Arirang News.
Over in the U.S., 2 staff members of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. were shot and killed. The shooting happened on Wednesday night local time near the Capitol Jewish Museum. It was carried out by a 30-year-old man named Elias Rodriguez from Chicago. The victims, a young couple about to be engaged, were attending a Jewish event at the museum. The gunman yelled "Free Palestine" after he was arrested. U.S. President Donald Trump said horrible killings based on anti-Semitism must end and offered his condolences to the bereaved families on his social media platform. In the Middle East, trucks containing basic humanitarian aid has yet to reach Palestinians, while Israel ramps up its ground operations in Gaza. Lee Seung-jae covers growing humanitarian crisis in that region.
Work is in full swing to transport relief supplies to Gaza, but aid has still not been distributed to those in need. Around 100 relief trucks have passed through the Palestinian side of the Kerem Shalom checkpoint, with the first of the trucks to arrive there for a 3rd day. The delay comes amid concerns of looting as authorities look to secure a safe route for the trucks.
So far, this is as a few minutes ago, but the situation obviously is fluid. None of the supplies have been able to leave the Kerem Shalom loading area. This is because by yesterday evening, Israeli authorities had only allowed our teams to go through one area where that was highly congested, that we felt was insecure, and where we felt looting was highly likely to take place given the prolonged deprivation of in Gaza since the blockade by the Israeli authorities for over 11 weeks.
UN officials are consulting with Israeli authorities to determine if another route can be used to deliver the aid. According to UN spokesperson Stefan Dujarric, humanitarian items include baby food, flour, medicine, and nutrition supplies. However, he said that Israel has not allowed hygiene products or fuel into Gaza. Meanwhile, the Israeli military has continued its ground operations in Gaza. According to Al Jazeera, around 80 people were killed in airstrikes in various locations in Gaza on Wednesday. In a press conference on the same day, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that Israeli military had apparently killed Hamas leader Mohammed Sinwar. He is the younger brother of Hamas former top leader Yahya Sinwar, who was killed in October last year. Netanyahu said that there are currently 20 Israeli hostages alive in Gaza and promised to bring them all back. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
In other news, Korea's defense companies, though smaller in scale, are presenting ambitious strategic solutions to bolstering security, from digital aircraft twins to anti-drone systems, at an ongoing regional showcase in Malaysia. Our defense correspondent Kim Bo-kyung has this report.
A Boeing 737's three-dimensional landing gear appears just by wearing a mixed reality headset. This is one of many innovative products Korea's small and medium-sized companies have brought to the Langkawi International Maritime and Aerospace Exhibition, Southeast Asia's largest exhibition of this type. Situated within the booth of the Integrated Korean Pavilion, Augmented Knowledge offers a digital twin of aircraft by integrating AI-based paper manuals with 3D models. Currently being used by several institutions, the cloud service is already helping students learn aircraft maintenance more efficiently. With the innovation that makes paper manuals a legacy of the past, the company aims to open up new opportunities at LIMA 2025.
Malaysia offers relatively low labour costs and has a well-developed MRO industry. We're in contact with both companies like GE Aerospace and local schools, aiming to establish a foothold in Southeast Asia.
Optical communications company Fostec, which is showcasing expanded beam connectors that are reliable for field use, is already producing cables used for Korean missile defense systems like Cheonggung. It now aims to explore more chances in the global market.
Our products are about 1/5 the cost compared to Amphenol and Glenair, with delivery times reduced by about half, while maintaining equal or superior quality standards.
Also eyeing the Southeast Asian market is an anti-drone manufacturer, producing a system that integrates multiple functions into one. It can detect, operate jamming methods, disrupt the signals and spoofing, and send false GPS signals to mislead the drone to move to a different direction.
I've heard that many key officials from important agencies such as the Malaysian Air Force and police will be attending, so we hope there will be an opportunity to participate in bids with the Malaysian government.
With strong government support behind them, Korean defense SMEs are taking a big leap into the global market. 김보경, 아리랑 뉴스, 랑카이.
The summer-like heat has slowly eased off a bit. Yesterday was the hottest this year, with the daytime temperature exceeding 30 degrees Celsius in Seoul. It was still hot today with highs of 27 degrees in Seoul, but not as hot as yesterday. Temperatures will stay slightly below the average both tomorrow and Saturday. Some rain will fall in southern regions today. It will rain around 5 millimeters in Gyeongsangnam-do Province and 5 to 10 millimeters mainly in the southern areas. Most of this rain will stop by tonight. More light rain is forecast on the west coast of Gyeongsangnam-do Province at dawn tomorrow and on Jeju Island from late afternoon. Tomorrow morning, Seoul, Gwangju, Jeju will start off at 16 degrees, Daejeon and Busan at 15 degrees. Daily highs will move up to 23 degrees in Seoul, 22 degrees in Chuncheon and Daegu. On Sunday, temperatures will rise back again. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world. That is Newscenter for tonight. Thank you for watching. Tomorrow, Newscenter will be coming to you live at an hour earlier at 7 p.m. Korea time. A live televised presidential debate will be aired at 8 p.m. on Arirang. Have a great evening.